All right, Battletech enthusiasts, we're going to talk about the Hunchback. Undoubtedly one of my favorite mechs. And the great thing about Battletech, of course, is we all have our favorite mechs out there. Some of them are really good, some of them very specialized, and some of them not so good. I believe what makes a favorite mech is if you can match it to your play style. Certainly, after a couple of games of any miniature wargaming system, but Battletech specifically, you're going to understand the mechanics of heat and angling and ranges and modifiers, how I'm going to try and lower modifiers. You're going to try and stack modifiers back and forth. You are going to get a good command of tactics where if I give you 4 or 5 random mechs and some support vehicles and a couple of stands of infantry, you'll do okay. You'll know the weaknesses. You'll know how they work. How we make that next jump in playstyle is where you embrace, and it's very intoxicating, you embrace how you like to play on the table. And you acknowledge that as a player. Maybe you like to stay at range and just rain down lots and lots of missiles. Maybe you like combined arms where you have this overlap of vehicles fighting alongside mechs. There is no right or wrong. Discovering your vision, discovering your voice as a Battletech or as a mech commander is key. So the Hunchback fits into this because kind of 2 themes running in across all the wargaming systems that I play. And if you've had the chance to kind of play some games with me or explore other gaming systems, you're going to see this. I believe in the philosophy that big guns never tire. You can have your strategies, you can have your refused flank, you can have all of your tactics and your plans. I take some big guns that put out some big numbers, and I start shooting at you, and I start connecting. There's no arguing with big guns. So right away, the Hunchback autocannon 20s. I mean, I would take like autocannon 20s on everything, right? I love autocannon 20s. I acknowledge the power of medium lasers. I acknowledge the power of autocannon 2s and flamers and all the other weapons in certain situations. But I feel like for the most part, my playstyle is mechs. I want to have half or more of their weapon systems dealing out 10 plus points of damage. I want to deal out, right, Fritz, the clans are made for you, right? It's like everything the clan shoots is half the heat and like starts at like 15 points of damage. It's just crazy, right? But Inner Sphere, I feel like PPCs, autocannon 10s, autocannon 20. Now we've got a short range on this mech, right? That's the trade-off, the balance out. Not as many shots, you've got short range. The other thing I enjoy in wargaming, close combat, the assault, where we have our technology, we have our fancy machines, depending on the tech level, we have our computer systems and all this, but person-to-person, personal glory, close combat, settling it one-on-one or one-on-many. So I love the idea. Right, in playing Chain of Command historicals, I will charge, right? I mean, I will take my Germans and we will charge and we will settle this one-on-one and just, take it that way. In Warhammer 40,000, I will march my Cornate Berserkers across the field of battle and put you to the bolt pistol and the chainsword. In Battletech, I'm going to run up there and body check you and start swinging away with my fists. So the Hunchback, I feel like, fits into this because it has the autocannon 20. It has, 2 fists. I was going to say that's a given, but not every mech, like the Thorn, I love the Thorn, it's only got 1 fist. Not every mech has a pair of hands on there, but it has this perfect tandem where I can run up and punch you, and the autocannon is still in a location that I can shoot that autocannon 20. And likewise, the autocannon 20 encourages you, based on its short range, to get to danger close. Look, as soon as I'm in range, this is the other great thing with the Hunchback, and you take notice. As soon as I get in range, I'm going to be shooting at you. So let's say base gunnery skill 4. I'm at long range because that's what I can do. So 4 plus 4, we're at 8. I'm running to get into that long range. So I'm up to 10. Right away, without any of your modifiers stacking. 4 plus 4 for range, plus 2 for running, 4, 8, 10. I'm at 10. I'm going to assume you got an autocannon 20 running at you. Even if you're an assault mech, you're going to be bobbing and weaving, dancing and running. So I'm going to stack a plus 2 at a minimum on there. So 12's to hit. Now, most weapons, when you shoot, if I shoot a medium laser and I need 12 to hit, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, just roll the dice. Let me know if you hit. if I have an autocannon 20, and even if I need 12 to hit, you're going to pause. You're going to be like, okay, in your mind, look, I know. In your mind, you're going to be like, don't connect, no lucky, no double sixes, right? No lucky shots, please. And then there's a collective sigh of relief when it's like, okay, he missed, good. I mean, what are the odds? The odds are not there, but there is this opportunity created with autocannon 20 mechs and with the Hunchback in particular, especially for the battle value as a medium mech. We see a lot of autocannon 20s based on the weight and the ammo requirements. You're mounting it on something as specialized as, say, the Cyclops, or you're, of course, everyone's favorite, the Atlas on there, but you're paying a premium for that because you have an assault class mech or a heavier class mech, and you've got other weapon systems on there. It's pricey. Now, yes, it's more survivable because you have the armor, but I feel like on the Hunchback, it's this perfect blend of speed, of armor. It's a medium type mech. Did I call it a light mech? It's a medium type mech, and the battle value is comfortable for where it is. So I get the benefits of it. Being the autocannon 20, I'm going to want to try and get as close as possible. I'm going to try and run up there as close as possible to you. And if I'm that close already to catch the modifiers, then I might as well be punching you also. So I feel it's a real kind of brawler type mech. That's why in the narrative you hear like, well, the Hunchback's a great city fight mech. It's a great city fight mech. And you're like, well, what does that really mean? In a true city fight game where there are buildings, I'm not talking about like one or two buildings sprinkled on the table. I mean density building, where you've got roads and alleyways and different elevations. You can maneuver before we even get into the rules of like smashing through buildings and things like that. Even if you just play straight up buildings to maneuver, the Hunchback is going to be able to navigate that and not take fire in, and by its very nature, get close to you. That is where it excels. On an open map, okay, this is where, this is the theory of the mech. You're not just going to let me run up there. You're not just going to let that happen. So I feel like we need to create what I would call a squeeze on you. So I've got my Hunchback running forward. Let's say it's a big map. It's a couple of hex maps, or it's a traditional wargaming map. What you want to try and do, regardless, it's kind of a foundation here, regardless of how big your gaming table or your hex maps are, you want to have some place to go when things start getting tough. If you start taking a lot of damage and you take some internal hits and you need to disengage, you physically need some place to go on the table. This is why castling up in Battletech is dangerous. Because if I castle up means like my deployment zone on my table edge, I pick the left or right side, I castle up, I hang out there. Obviously, if it's like a fortification or something, yeah, that's going to work. But the danger here is while I limit, or I should say the challenge, while I limit the avenues that you can approach, if I'm all the way on the left side of the table, that means physically the left side of my gaming side table, you can't approach that way. I'm limiting it, but I have nowhere to go. So that's why you want to try and immediately move to the center-ish, obviously modified by terrain, part of the table. That's where you want it to engage. That's where you want it to be danger close between the two lances, because now if things get bad and I start going to internals, or you get a lucky center torso double one hit and you roll, and now I've got gyro damage or fusion engine damage, and I'm like, I gotta disengage for a little bit, or just something as simple as, look, you got to clear some heat. So I want to step back a little bit to disengage from medium range to long range to stack those modifiers. You have somewhere to go. So you move up to the center-ish of the table. If I move up, this is the squeeze. If I move up with my Hunchback, you're just going to backpedal. You're going to have somewhere to go. So I'm never really going to get fully close with that autocannon. And if you outrange me, you're going to plink me away on there. I need something to work. And what that something is depends on the battle value, depends on the model collection, depends on what you want to play. I need something that can get behind you really, really fast and discourage you from walking back. So here's an example of something that I utilize. It works very, very well. Start running with the Hunchback towards you. You move up to the middle of the table. I take a Karnov, which is a VTOL transport, 2 large infantry bays. I load it up with infantry, 2 nice big infantry groups, and I fly that across and over, up high, fly that across behind your advancing mechs, and I deposit the infantry there in cover, in terrain, ready to go. That has now created the squeeze. they're not going to be in range. You're going to be moving past them. For the battle value, it costs me nothing. It's really nothing to have. It's almost like whenever you play Battletech, you have a minimum of 4 stands of infantry. I mean, if you're playing 2,000 battle value or higher, you can afford that, and it buys so much. I dropped those 2 infantry stands down. That's the hornet's nest. Those are the killer bees, right? If you now, as my Hunchback advances, or even my Atlas, not that this is a Hunchback vlog, but it could work for the Atlas, autocannon 20. You're marching forward. I'm marching forward. If you start to need to fall back, or you want to backpedal to keep me at long range for the AC-20, you're going to hit up against those walls of infantry, or fast-moving hover tanks, or whatever's kind of nasty back there. That's going to slow you down. So now, where do you want to go? Do you want to turn to face my infantry and give me your back? No. Do you want to give me your back? Do you want to face forward versus the autocannon 20? Yes, at least. And give me your back for the infantry? Not really. Do you want to blade sideways? Okay, that's great. Now you're going to have less weapons coming at me. It catches you. So I feel like out of a pure city fight standpoint, the Hunchback needs that to really, really excel. But certainly this is one of my favorite mechs, because if we're going to mount big guns, and big guns never tire, I want to keep those hands free of at least the primary big gun weapons so I can get up there and I can brawl.